My name is Optimus Prime, and we need your help.
I'm a Transformers fan, and as a Transformer fan, I can tell you that Activision and Traveler's Tales' latest rendition of what the Transformers are supposed to be isn't very good at all. In fact, we like to say that it's a little less than meets the eye. Throw in your bad Transformer puns here. The Transformers isn't an all-bad game. I realize there are some actually good points to the game, such as the fact that you can transform into a robot and back to a car or a jet again. And, there is some cool destructibility stuff where you can go around destroying the city, blowing things up, very much like Hulk Ultimate Destruction and other games of that ilk. Unfortunately, what the problem is that Transformers, as for an open-world game, is not really fully realized. You spend a lot of your time going around from mission to mission, point to point, with really little to do in between other than grab very obvious power-ups. Because of this linear structure in what's supposed to be an open world, things get tedious really quickly, where in most games of this type you have 6 or 7 different things you can do at any one time. This, it's pretty much collect whatever your mission is, go to the next one, perform it, and repeat. And in a game like this, where you're supposed to be this all-powerful robot and you're only doing the same 2 or 3 things over and over again, it gets really old fast. So what is it that you're doing over and over again? Well, basically, there's 3 different types of missions in Transformers. The first is your standard race type, which basically moves you from point to point, going from checkpoint to checkpoint. And, that's really standard stuff. It reminds us of Burnout in a way, only not as pretty. The second thing you could do is you arrive in an arena-type environment where it's your giant transformed robot against another horde of giant transformed robots, and you basically fight them until all of them are gone. Then the final type of thing you have to do is a mix of the two. So you're either transforming into a car and going from point A to point B, and then fighting a horde of robots, and then repeating. It's really all there is to the entire Transformers gameplay formula, and as you can tell, the flexibility is really limited. Perhaps the most amazing thing about how Transformers works is, the best part about being a Transformer is you have all these badass guns and weapons that you can use on the buildings and all the other little things that are around you, but not on the enemies themselves. When you're shooting at a drone or another low-level enemy, it's very inaccurate, does very little damage, and by the time you get to the mid-level bosses or the actual really tough guys, all of them have shields, and the guns are absolutely useless, so you have actually no reason to use them whatsoever. This means that it basically boils down to a brawling match where it's just you versus them in a fist versus fist fight, and with very limited combos and 1 or 2 jump moves, that again gets very old very quickly, which seems to be the ongoing theme of the game. If there is a silver lining in every cloud, I'd say that the Decepticons are actually more fun to use than the Autobots. At least when you're playing as the Decepticons, there's a reason to go around smashing and destroying everything outside of just fighting robots. So in those scenarios, when you hop in a helicopter or a jet or you're playing as Scorponok, it's actually pretty cool to go around and fight all these tanks and army guys who are basically trying to take you out. When you put those two sides together and the fact that there is at least a moderate amount of city that you can blow up and explore, then at least salvages itself as a somewhat mediocre experience. But when you compare it to other games like Hulk or Grand Theft Auto or any other titles I mentioned before, it really falls short and it becomes how obvious this is more of a cash-in on a popular license than an actually well-developed game. So what's the bottom line? What's this mean for you? It means that I gave this game a 5.7 on both the PS3 and Xbox 360. And it also means that unless you are really, really into the Transformers and you're looking for a way to just pass time in between funerals, then your time is better spent elsewhere.